Hi, it's been a busy week. Last Saturday's Fuck Parade certainly raised a storm in the media. A couple of broken windows at an estate agent's and one arrest was transformed into a major street riot. Plus, thousands of pounds worth of free publicity for the serial killer cap. One thing that emerged, they pay their staff the princely sum of £7 an hour. Don't spend it all at once. Which is the price of 2 bowls of cereal at their establishment. The media, in particular the Daily Hate Mail, have labelled the protesters middle class. As I pointed out previously, the vast majority were local hostel dwellers, social and private renters at the bottom end of the market, and squatters and travellers. None of us live in gated communities. The media also expressed surprise, even shock and horror that some of us have educational qualifications, up to PhD level, and all this without private education. How dare we? Of all the reams of trash spewed out by the print media, the article that reaches the dubious heights of political and social illiteracy is the rubbish penned by a certain Rohan Silva for the London Evening Standard, owned by a Russian oligarch. Blame lack of housing, not creative hipsters, for London's high rent, he says. According to him, class war, who organised the Fuck Parade, are economically illiterate. It's wrong to oppose gentrification. Listen, mate, it's no longer gentrification. It's gone beyond that. It's Manhattanization. Walk around E1, mate, in particular Aldgate, and see for yourself. The biggest insult is class war being compared to the National Front. Hipsters, it seems, are the newest wave of immigrants. I think not. I'd like to tell this moron, probably privately educated like the majority of journalists here in the UK, that some of the cleaners in his office could have written a better article than him. Anarchism and anarchists have been around the East End for well over 100 years. It was a mass social and political movement amongst the Jewish workers in the sweated trades, such as tailoring. They led strikes, ran social centres and free schools and published newspapers. And they also had strong links with the official trade union movement, in particular the dockers. Has this idiot ever heard of Rudolf Rocker or the background to the siege of Sydney Street in 1911? No, of course not. And from the 1960s onward, anarchists have been prominent in the housing struggle here in the East End, particularly with squatting, right up to the present day, despite it being illegal. The Whitechapel Anarchist Group, sadly disbanded due to the changing demographics of the area, had, up till recently, a paper with a circulation of between 2,000 and 3,000, which was given out at local markets and stations in the area. And as anarchists, we still have a bookshop, a printers and a social centre in the Whitechapel area, despite the encroachment of super rich apartments in our neck of the East End. But the most glaring stupidity in this article was trying to compare us to the National Front, a hardcore National Socialist outfit, the polar opposite of every single thing that we stand for. We anarchists and our numerous supporters have always opposed racism and fascism where it counts, on the streets. We had over 150 people arrested by the police as we opposed the last incursion of the EDL into our area a couple of years ago. Many were local people or from nearby boroughs or even ex-residents who felt compelled to defend their own manor against this incursion. The events of Saturday last have finally, apart from the serial cafe irrelevance, raised the profile of housing, gentrification, social cleansing, evictions, homelessness, waiting lists, landlordism and social apartheid, and the destruction and devastation of working class communities here in London. Our solidarity is with the people of Redcar, their town thrown onto the scrap heap by the same forces that are tormenting us here in London. We need to keep these issues in the forefront, to take them back onto the streets and to occupy empty buildings, amongst other things. Our enemies are not a bunch of boring hipsters, let me get that straight, but the multi-millionaires who are flooding into London, seeing it as a safe haven and a good investment, colonising and sterilising working class areas that have existed for centuries. We must take the fight to them, as it says on the class war banner. We must devastate the avenues of the rich. How true, how pertinent. Meanwhile, back in the world of so-called real politics, it has been announced that multi-millionaire, Eton-educated toff, yes, another one, Zach Goldsmith, is the Tory candidate for Mayor of London next year. And who will be giving him absolute, uncritical, grovelling support? Why, none other than our friends at the Evening Standard. Good night.